Welcome to the start of a complete beginner's journey into the practice of yoga. We're going to begin today's class in a seated pose. Take a moment to settle into the mat and get familiar with your surroundings, making sure you feel safe and comfortable to move and express yourself freely in the space. Adjusting yourself to find a comfortable seat here. If that means sitting up on a block or a blanket or even on a pillow to elevate the hips just like I am, take the time now to readjust and find comfort. Once you've found that comfortable seat, we'll gently bring our awareness in towards the body now. Notice how you're feeling here in the space. Notice how the body feels, scanning the body for a moment, maybe from the head to the toes. Just notice maybe any tension, any stress that you're storing, trying to let go of any tension that you're holding. Trying to stay comfortable in your seat, but long in the spine, finding that length here. Heart is open, your head is over your heart is over your hips. Finding comfortable alignment. And I invite you now to maybe close the eyes if you feel comfortable. If you don't, that's no problem. We can keep our eyes open. Maybe focus your gaze on a certain point. Just relax the eyes, relax the face. The shoulders are away from the ears. Noticing the breath and move through the chest now. And breath move through the body. Noticing the body move subtly to the breath. Without making any adjustments to your breath just yet. Just observing. Where in the body do you feel your breath the most? You might feel it in your stomach. You might feel it in your chest or your throat, your nose. Just finding that one point. Notice how the breath feels moving through that point. Beginning to maybe gently deepen the breath now. Finding a deeper, fuller breath. As you breathe in, breathing into the stomach, into the ribs, into the chest, into the shoulders, and with an exhale, letting it all out, pushing out all the air as your navel draws in towards the spine. And the cycle begins again. That full deep breath that feels comfortable in your body. Keeping the shoulders relaxed. Just focusing on how the body moves to the breath. Almost as if your body is subtly dancing to the rhythm of your own breath. Keeping our eyes closed and staying connected to that deep breath. We're going to add some arm movements here to really start to connect to that movement and breath connection. So with your inhales, you're going to begin to raise the arms up. Your hands come almost up towards your shoulder height. And then with your exhale, your palms flip to face down towards the earth as you push subtly down towards the earth until you get towards hip height. And then you'll inhale, palms flip again to face the sky. And exhale, hands flip, pushing down towards the earth. Moving with your own rhythm, finding your own flow here. On your next exhale, your hands are going to start to float down to all the way down to your stomach. Placing your hands over your ribs and your stomach, spreading those hands out wide. And here we're going to connect to really feeling the breath. Notice with your inhales how the ribs and stomach all expand, and exhale as it deflates, as your navel draws in towards the spine, feeling that gentle ab activation. Trying to stay connected to the breath here and using our breath throughout our practice to help guide our bodies. So not forcing movements, moving to the rhythm of your breath, staying connected here. If your mind starts to drift and wander to any thoughts or observations or any criticism, maybe you're not feeling comfortable in a pose, anything at all, just observing those thoughts and watch them drift away as you bring your awareness back to your breath and how the body moves with the breath. With your next exhale, we're going to release the hands back down to our thighs. When you feel ready, you can begin to open up your eyes. But remember, we can always keep our eyes closed for as much as the practice as we want, even when we're moving through the asanas, helping you build that inner connection. From here, we're going to move into our child's pose, our balasana. You're going to open up your knees as wide as your mat or as wide as is comfortable for you. Your toes are together behind you. Your hips are sinking into your heels as much as it can. If you're not feeling comfortable with your hips hitting your heels, you can take a blanket and roll it up and place it in between your thighs and your calves to lift your hips a little bit. Alternatively, you can use a block or a pillow or anything you really have to sort of lift your hips out of your heels. You'll extend your arms out like I have, dropping your chest and your forehead down towards the mat. And breathing here. Fingers are spread out wide. Your arms are slightly active, shoulders pulling back away from the ears. And observing how the breath moves through the body in this pose here. Our balasana is a really nice, grounding, safe pose that we like to start with and like to come back to throughout the practice, no matter how far along you've gone. At any point during any practice, if you feel like you want a moment to ground yourself and feel comfortable, you can always come back into your balasana, into your child's pose. And then begin again through your practice whenever you like. From here, on your next inhale, you're going to roll forward, coming up onto your hands and knees. We're coming into our tabletop. We're just going to set up our alignment here. You want to make sure that your shoulders are directly over your wrists and your hips are directly over your knees. Your fingers are spread out wide and you're really pressing into the fingertips and into your knuckles. So if someone were to pick up your finger and try to lift it off, it would just spring back. Really active in the hands here to protect your wrist. Then you're going to be pressing into the tops of your feet, into the mat, to activate your legs and not put all your weight into your knees. So you're also now protecting your knees. You're drawing your navel in slightly, activating the core, protecting your lower back. And you're pressing into the hands, pushing heart is open, finding length in the neck. So your full body is active here. Finding that breath, continuing to breathe. We're never holding our breath in our practice. Always trying to find that fluid, rhythmic breathing. From here, we're going to move into our cat and cow pose. So this is really going to be working on building our connection to matching our movements to our breath. So when you're ready, on your exhale, you're going to start to push into your hands, into the tops of your feet, rounding the spine. Push away from the earth. And then as you inhale, drop the stomach, open the heart. Gaze goes up to the sky. Exhale, round the spine, pull navel in towards you. And inhale, arching the back, opening the heart. Exhale, activating the front body, draw the navel in. And inhale, activate the back body as you arch the back and open the chest. Start to find your own rhythm here, moving to the breath. Really trying to make these movements smooth and flow to your breath. And on your next inhale, coming back to that tabletop. Perfect. From here, you're going to curl your back toes. And now you're going to start to push your hips up towards the sky, coming into our downward facing dog. Drawing your heels down towards the earth, but keeping your knees bent if you have tight hamstrings. So if you can see in the video, my knees are also bent. So do what feels good in your body. If you're feeling a bit tight, or you're not able to keep the chest open and pushing towards your thighs, then just bending your knees slightly, finding that space and really protecting our lower back. So all these poses, we're trying to find alignment that feels good in our bodies. So making any adjustments that feel good for you, using any props that can help support you if you need. Breathing here in your downward facing dog. Your chest is pushing towards your thighs. Your fingers are still spread out wide and you're pushing into those fingertips, activating those hands and taking pressure off of the wrists. And on your next exhale, release, dropping down towards your knees, back into that tabletop. If you feel like you need a little bit of padding for your knees because they're a little bit uncomfortable here, maybe finding a blanket or a towel and placing that underneath your knees just to give you that little bit more of support and cushioning. Then we're going to come up off of our hands, coming into a kneeling pose. Together, we'll inhale, reach the arms up towards the sky. And as you exhale, we're going to twist. So your left hand is reaching forward and your right hand reaching behind you. Inhale, together we'll reach back up towards the sky. And exhale, twisting to the opposite side. Now your right hand reaching for the front, your left hand behind you. Inhale, we reach up. And exhale, twisting from the core, keeping your hips square to the front. You're opening up those arms. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, we twist to the left. Inhale, we reach up. And this time as you exhale, bring your palms together. Your hands are going to fall down towards your heart. You're going to step your right foot forward now, coming into our low lunge. You're going to start to sink your hips down towards the earth, keeping your core engaged, lifting the chest. Getting a gentle stretch here. Keeping your right knee stacked over your ankle. Hips are squared to face the front, pulling your right hip back and the left hip is pushing forward. You can have your hands placed on your knee. In front of you, you can take some blocks and place blocks either side of you, placing your hands on those blocks. Your hands can be on your hips or reaching up towards the sky. Finding what feels good for you here today, depending on how you feel. Breathing here, staying connected to those deep breaths. Perfect. As you exhale now, drop your left hand down to the mat. And the right hand is reaching up towards the sky, getting a gentle twist here in our low lunge. Really pressing into that left hand and reaching those right fingertips for the sky. You'll curl your back toes and activate those legs by lifting your knee off of the mat if that feels good for you. Continuing to breathe, continuing to keep those hips squared, right hip pulling back, left hip forward, squeezing into the midline. Exhale, drop that right hand into the mat now, squaring to face the front, gazes to the front, chest is open. Staying active in those legs. And from here, you're going to then step that foot behind you, push your hips back up to the sky, find downward facing dog. Take a nice couple deep breaths here. And then as you exhale, dropping down towards your knees, finding tabletop. Perfect. We're going to set up for the opposite side. You'll come up off of your hands again, coming to that kneeling pose. You'll step your left foot in front of you now, finding our low lunge. You're going to sink your hips down towards the earth. Finding that placement of the hands, maybe on your knee in front of you, on your blocks, hips, reaching for the sky. Whatever is being called to you today, and whatever makes you breathe with ease. So if at any point you feel like your breath is restricted or you can't find those deep, calming breaths, then maybe adjusting yourself into a pose that feels more comfortable for you, and breathing there. We're going to exhale now, drop the right hand into the mat as the left hand reaches for the sky still, getting a gentle twist in our low lunge. keeping the arms active, pressing away from the mat with the right hand as the fingertips in the left hand reach for the sky. Curling the back toes, activating the lower body. You're going to lift yourself up off of the back knee. Breathing here, squeezing into the midline as that left hip is pulling back, right hip pushes forward. Exhale, dropping the left hand down towards the mat. Your gaze goes to the front. Open the height. Breathing here in our lunge. And then we're going to palms into our hands. We're going to step our foot back into our downward facing dog. Pushing the chest towards the thighs. Fingers are active. Knees bent if you need. And from here, you're going to drop down onto your knees, coming back into our child's pose. Your knees as wide as is comfortable, toes together behind you. And you're sinking your chest down towards the earth. Breathe here. Inhale into the stomach, ribs, chest, shoulders. Exhale, letting it all out as your navel draws in towards the spine. Thank you so much for joining me here on the mat today and beginning this beautiful journey with yoga. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Until then, namaste. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell icon so you get notified every time I share a video.